Welcome class 11th. Today again we continue our discussion on electrovalent bonding. As you know that a bond which is formed by transfer of electrons between two dissimilar atoms is called as an electrovalent bond. During the formation of electrovalent bond, one atom loses an electron, one or more electrons, so that it is converted to a cation, and another atom accepts one or two electrons and get converted to an anion or negatively charged ions. During this process of losing electrons or gaining electrons, both of them attains a stable configuration of 8 electrons in their valence shell, and finally these cations and anions, they are held together by strong electrostatic forces of attraction. And therein I had also told the formation of sodium chloride. In the continuation to this discussion, today I will tell you the formation of one more electrovalent compound. Then we will discuss properties of electrovalent compounds. So let us see how magnesium oxide is formed. So we learn about formation of magnesium oxide. So as we know that magnesium has atomic number of 12 and its electronic configuration is 282. So valence shell of magnesium has 2 electrons. During the formation of an electrovalent bond, magnesium loses its 2 electrons and forms a dipositive magnesium 2 plus ions. And since 2 electrons are given out, so the electronic configuration remains 2, 8. So that is how, after losing these 2 electrons, when magnesium atom is converted to magnesium ion, it has got a stable configuration of 8 electrons in its outermost shell, or it has got a complete octet. Now let us see oxygen. Now atomic number of oxygen is 8, and these 8 electrons, they are distributed in oxygen atoms in this way: 2, 6. So valence shell of oxygen has 6 electrons in its outermost shell, and it is short of 2 electrons in completing its octet. This oxygen accepts 2 electrons lost by magnesium atom. In first step, magnesium atom has lost its valence 2 electrons and converted to Mg2 plus ion. But this oxygen atom accepts these 2 electrons and forms oxide ions that will have a total of 10 electrons, and they are distributed as 2, 8. So once oxygen atom is converted to this oxide ion, this also has got a complete octet. And finally, these magnesium 2 plus ions and oxide ions, they are held together with the help of electrostatic force of attraction and magnesium oxide is formed. So this is the procedure by which electrovalent compounds are formed or electrovalent bonding takes place. During the formation of magnesium oxide, magnesium is a metal that has 2 electrons in outermost shell and its second last cell is completely filled. Its second last cell has got 8 electrons in 8 electrons. So this metal loses its electrons. These 2 electrons that are present in the outermost shell, they are lost and a magnesium 2 plus ion is formed, in which outermost shell contains 8 electrons or outermost shell has got a stable configuration. Wherein oxygen atom has got 6 electrons in outermost shell and it is short of 2 electrons in completing its octet. So oxygen atom accepts these 2 electrons that are lost by the magnesium atom and forms oxide ion. So 8 electrons were already present in oxygen, 2 electrons it accepted, and finally totally it has got 10 electrons. So 2, 8. Outermost shell is also complete. Now we can represent same process in a different way. This is magnesium atom that contains 2 electrons in first shell, then has 8 electrons in second cell, and finally 2 electrons in third shell. Then it loses its 2 electrons. So I am writing here minus 2 electrons and forms magnesium 2 plus cation that has 2 electrons in first shell and 8 electrons in its second cell. So these Mg2 plus ions have got a stable configuration of 8 electrons or has got a stable octet. Now let us see oxygen. Oxygen has got 2 electrons in first cell and has 6 electrons in its second cell. Now this oxygen atom accepts 2 electrons. So I am writing here plus 2e and forms oxide ion wherein first shell has got 2 electrons and second cell has got 8 electrons. Out of these 8 electrons, 6 electrons are of oxygen itself and 2 electrons it accepted from the magnesium. So that is how when magnesium is converted to magnesium 2 plus ion, it has got a stable octet, and oxide, when it converted to oxide ions, it has got a stable octet. And then these two ions, they are joined together with the help of strong electrostatic force of attraction. So I am quite sure that with this discussion you are very well able to understand the formation of ionic compounds, formation of electrovalent bond. Now we discuss the properties of electrovalent compounds. So the first property of these electrovalent compounds that they all are solids with high melting points. First property, they are solids with high melting points. Why? We know it that different states of matter, solid, liquid and gas is dependent on the packing of constituent particles and by magnitude of intermolecular forces of attraction. If packing of constituent particles is very close, intermolecular forces of attraction are very high, so they are solids. Then the magnitude of these intermolecular forces determines the melting point of concerned substance. Now what happens? In case of ionic compounds or in case of electrovalent compounds, they are formed by oppositely charged ions. And the force of attraction which is acting between these ions is Coulombic or electrostatic force, which is quite high and quite strong. So that is how these ions, they are held very closely with each other, and force of attraction operating between these ions is also very high. That is why they all are solids with high melting point. Fine. Again, since ionic solids are formed by oppositely charged ions, and these ions are held together with very strong electrostatic force of attraction, thereby they are solids, and large amount of energies are required to overcome these forces of attraction. Hence their melting points are very high. Secondly, they are brittle, means breaks into pieces when hammered. So you apply force on any ionic compound and it will break into small pieces. Why? Again, answer lies in this structure. This is one layer of constituent particles. This is another layer of constituent particles. There is another layer of constituent particles. These positively charged and negatively charged ions, they are arranged in a definite geometrical pattern forming a crystal lattice. Once force is applied, these layers they slide to some extent and similar charges comes in front of each other. They repels and this is they break. So that is how they are brittle. Third, they are soluble in polar solvents like water and insoluble in non-polar solvents like benzene or cyclohexane. So for the solubility of any substance, there is very simple rule that says like dissolves like. For any two substances to be soluble in each other or to be miscible with each other, their nature should be same. A polar substance is soluble in polar solvent, a non-polar substance is soluble in non-polar solvent, or an ionic substance is soluble in a polar solvent. So since these ionic solids, they are made up of these oppositely charged ions, they are made up of cations and anions, and once they are put in any polar solvent like water, their ions acts with the polar part of solvent water and they dissolve in each other. Third, and the last and most important property, that ionic compounds are insulators in solid state but conducts electricity in aqueous solution or molten state. This is a very peculiar property of ionic compounds. Although they are insulators, they do not conduct electricity in their solid state. But once they are dissolved in water, that is they are present in aqueous solution state or they are taken in molten state, conduction of electricity is observed. Why? See, for any substance to behave as a conductor, either it should have free electrons or it should have free ions. Electric current is nothing but flow of charge from one point to another point, and this charge is either carried by negatively charged particles, that is electrons, or this charge may be carried by ions, cation or anion. So for any substance to behave as conductor, for any substance to conduct electricity, it should have either free electrons in its structure or free ions in their structure. When these ionic compounds they are present in their solid state, they neither have free electrons nor they have free ions. Let us recall the structure of the sodium chloride which I had drawn in this way. So in this crystal of sodium chloride, they neither have any free electrons. Electrons they already transferred from one atom to another atom. That is how these ions are formed. And these ions which are formed, they are held together with very strong electrostatic force of attraction. And these ions are not allowed to move. They can only vibrate along their mean positions, but motion of these particles is not allowed at all. So in this solid state of an ionic compound, there is neither a free electron nor a free ion. Solid state, they neither have free electron nor have free ion. So they do not conduct electricity. But once they dissolve in the water or they are taken in their molten state, these bonds are broken and these ions are free to move and they conduct electricity in their aqueous solution state or in their molten state. So, to recall the properties of these ionic compounds, number one, they all are solids with very high melting points. Reason? Constituent particles are ions and these ions are held together with very strong electrostatic force of attraction. And large amount of energies are required to break this force of attraction. So, they are solids having fixed shape, fixed volume, and they have got very high melting and boiling points. Now, when these ionic solids they are hammered, then these layers of ions they slide, and ions with similar charge they come in front of each other, and because of mutual repulsion, it breaks into pieces. That is, they are brittle in nature. Next, they are soluble in polar solvents like water. So, for dissolution of any substance in any other substance, one simple rule is there: like dissolves like. If we are mixing any of the two substances to make a solution, their nature should be same. A polar solvent can only be dissolved in a non-polar solvent. A very common example that we had seen, that if few drops of oil is dipped in water, they don't mix with each other, because oil is non-polar in nature and water is polar in nature. So similarly, because of these ions of opposite charge, these ions they interact with the opposite ends of polar water molecule and they dissolve in each other. Finally, ionic compounds are insulators in their solid state but conducts electricity in their aqueous solution state or molten state. Reason? For any substance to behave as conductor, either it should have free electrons in its structure which can carry charge from one part of conductor to the other part, or it should have free ions that can carry charge. When they are present in their crystalline form, when they are present in their solid form, neither they have free electrons nor they have free ions to carry the charge. Thereby, they are insulators in this state. But once they are dissolved in water, once they are taken in molten state, these ions, they are randomly present. They are free to move. And they carry charge from one part to another part, and they conduct electricity in aqueous solution state or in molten state. So in one line, we say that when ionic compounds are present in their solid state, they neither have free electrons nor free ions, so they behave as insulator, and once they are present in their aqueous solution state or in molten state, their ions are free to move, thereby they conduct electricity in their aqueous solution state or in molten state. So by the time I had discussed and I had tried to reply some of the very basic questions, that what is a chemical bond, how a chemical bond, why a chemical bond is formed, and how this chemical bonding takes place. What is the meaning of electrovalent bond, how electrovalent bonds are formed, and what are the properties of these electrovalent compounds. I am quite sure you are able to understand these things. Still, if you have any query, question, please feel free to ask. Thank you.